Hi everyone, this is Karen and we are on day 5 or of our book club. Money isn't the problem. You are. Before we begin the reading, I just want to ask, how are you? How has been the reading helping you? Like for me, what's happening is whatever we're reading, whatever chapter we are, that's exactly what's happening in my reality. Like yesterday, we were talking about how to deal with difficult people. I don't know if you can hear right now, but in my background, somebody's crying because yesterday, while I was reading, my niece was here inside the room and she was kind of difficult. She was running around and kind of noisy. And so I was reading and I was and she's just here, so it was kind of challenging. And now she wants to get in the room right now, and I don't know if you can hear her crying, but we talk and we agree that she has to go stay out while I'm doing the reading. But that's how it is. And so and things like that, challenges happening is a chance for you to practice the tools. So, oh no, there's a lot of rooms. Hi, Josephine. There's a lot of rooms in the house, but for some reason she wants to be here, and we're practicing, to be consistent with her. We yesterday night we agreed that she'll not be here in the room. So I'm just in a space of allowance for now. Like she is a 5-year old, and sometimes, yeah, even if we talk, things change for her. But she has to learn consequences. And yesterday, that's what we agreed on. If she's kinda in our vernacular, it's magulo. If she's kinda magulo, if she's kinda messy and noisy, then she stays out of the room. And she was like that yesterday. She's just out, and she needs to learn consequences. So that's how it is. But I'm being an allowance of her, and I'll ask you to be an allowance of her. I don't know if you can hear her in the background. She's crying outside, but my sister is practicing respectful parenting, and so I'm letting her handle her, and that's her consequence. So there. Thank you, Josephine, for being here. Lali, Josephine saying you're a great mom. She is. And I realize it's so hard to be a mother. So how are you? How are you? And please let us know. We'd love to know what tools have been working for you before we begin the reading. For this chapter, chapter 5, we're going to talk about gifting and receiving. What does it really mean? And then we're also going to talk about humans and humanoids. What are you? And all of this has relevance and significance to money. Okay, so shall we begin? Thank you, Josephine, for being here. For the others, I'll just respond to like when I start reading. I'm sorry, I will not be able to acknowledge you because I was thinking if you're going to do the replay, you'd want to just listen to the reading continuously. But like we usually have like 2-3 minutes before the reading so we can talk about stuff. And also inviting you to attend the finale of our book club. We'll have a Zoom meet where everybody's going to be together so we can talk about what we learned and how this has been a contribution to you. Okay, so again, this is the 7 Days of Change book club. We're reading from the book Money Isn't the Problem You Are by Gary Douglas and Dain Heer. The book was written in the first person. So when I say I, please know I'm referring to Gary Douglas. When I say we, that's Dain and Gary. So let's go. Let's begin chapter 5 of the book. Money Isn't the Problem You Are. Gifting and receiving. Learning to receive is the greatest thing you can do. We've worked with lots of people regarding their money issues. We've worked with people who had $10 in their pocket and people who had 10 million. The interesting thing is they all have the same issue, and it has nothing to do with money at all. It has to do with what they're willing to receive. Learning to receive is the greatest thing you can do. The limitation of money, the limitation of sex, the limitation of relationship, the limitation of anything at all in your life is based on what you are unwilling to receive. What you are unwilling to receive creates the limitation of what you can have. Next, judgment limits your capacity to receive. Whenever you go into judgment about anything, whether it is a positive judgment or a negative judgment or any degree of judgment. You cut off your capacity to receive beyond that judgment. Every judgment you make stops you from receiving anything that doesn't match it. So, even a positive judgment like this person is perfect keeps you from seeing when they're not perfect. If you decide you had married the perfect woman, are you able to see when she's not perfect? Can you see when she's cheating on you? No. You're not able to receive the full reality of that person. Whatever we are unable to receive is based on our judgment. Do you need to live in judgment? No. In fact, you need to live without judgment. If you live from a place of no judgment, you can receive the entirety of the world. You can have everything you've always wanted. When you have no judgment, there isn't anything you can't receive. I worked with a man who had a men's clothing store in a gay section of town. He was having trouble with his business, and he asked me to help him sort out what the problem was. We examined everything, and it looked pretty good. And I was thinking, what's keeping him from being successful? I said, so tell me about your customers. He said, oh, they're pretty nice, except for those guys. I said, those guys? Who are those guys? He said, oh, you know, those swishy queens that come in. I hate it when they come in and hit on me. I said, your shop is in the gay area of town, correct? He said, yeah. I said, you know what? You have made a mistake here because you will not receive your customers' energy. They're not going to give you any money if you're not willing to have their energy. He said, what do you mean? I said, you have to be willing to receive their energy if you would have their money. You have to learn to banter and flirt with them. He said, I could never do that. I don't want to have sex with a man. I said, I didn't say you have. You had to have sex with them. I said you had to flirt with them. You'll flirt with a woman, won't you? He said, when my wife's not around, I said, then just flirt with a man. It doesn't mean you have to copulate with him. It just means you're willing to receive the energy he's giving. He's giving you, and then you can have his money. So he learned to enjoy his customers and to banter and flirt with them. He learned to have a good time with them, and he started making lots of money. He had a judgment about receiving the energy of his customers, which created a limitation on what he could receive financially. The same is true for you. What you are unwilling to receive energetically becomes the limitation of what you can create money from. Next, what are you absolutely unwilling to receive? We're going to ask you a question, and we'd like you to write down the first thing that pops in your head or say it out loud. If you're just at home, please just answer it out loud. You don't have to type it in. Especially if it makes absolutely no sense to you, just say it. The purpose of this question is to unlock what you're unwilling to receive. Whatever we're unwilling to receive creates a limitation of what we can create in our lives. It limits what we can have. So here is the question. What are you absolutely unwilling to receive that if you were willing would manifest as total abundance? We asked this question to groups of people, and these are some of the answers they came up with. Check if any of them apply to you. People disliking me, love, intimacy, judgments, sex, health, self. What are you absolutely unwilling to receive that, if you were willing, would manifest as total abundance? What's on your list? Are your answers anything like this? Responsibility, success, being weird and different, the greatness of me, something I have to slave for, feeling good about having fun in my life. What are you absolutely unwilling to receive that, if you were willing, would manifest as total abundance? What did you come up with this time? I hope you're answering wherever you are. Do your answers contain any of this? Easy money, being wrong, being slapped in my face, being overwhelmed with the ability to create, being joyful, caring, help, taking risk. Next, pretty interesting, isn't it? The things you're unwilling to receive limit what you can have in your life. Because you aren't willing to receive these things, you cannot have abundance. Everybody has pretty much the same issues. Your unwillingness to receive whatever came up for you limits the amount of money you can have. It limits what you can have in every respect. It's what we are unwilling to receive that makes the problem. What if you were willing to receive anything and everything? What energy have you decided you cannot receive? What judgment do you have that stops you from receiving unlimitedly? As you read these questions, you may have something popped into your head. It will be an answer from, guess where? Your insane mind. Because that's what creates all your limitations. Your logical mind takes these insane limitations and justifies them. It provides the decisions and judgments that keep the limitation in existence. The great thing about this is the response from your insane mind that pops into your head is not only a statement of your limitation, it's also the answer that will set you free. Your logical mind only provides justifications for the insane point of view you already have. So, what energy are you unwilling to receive? I don't screw around with married women. This is an anecdote by Gary. Years ago, when I was in my 30s, I trained horses. At that time, I was planning to go to Europe for 6 months, and I met a lady who lived in Montecito, which is a ritzy area of Santa Barbara. She had some horses she wanted me to ride, so I went and rode her horses. She thought I was really cute and was checking me out and hitting on me. My reaction to this was a judgment. I don't screw around with married women. She had an attorney for a husband, and I thought the last thing I wanted to do is get myself involved in that kind of thing. I could be in real trouble. So I went to Europe and I was gone 6 months. When I came back, she started calling me, and based on my earlier judgment, I just put her off and put her off and put her off and didn't have anything to do with her. 2 months later, I found out that she married a guy who looked so much like me. He could have been my brother. I had assumed she was married, but the reality was she had divorced her husband while I was in Europe. Nobody told me. Next, 6 months after her marriage, she died of a cerebral hemorrhage and she left her new husband $67 million. Do you think my judgments had any effect on my life? What judgments of yours might be having an equally detrimental effect on your life? Next, out of control versus uncontrol. We tend to control ourselves with the limitations we create. We create controls around ourselves about what we will receive, what we won't receive, what is possible, what is not possible, what we think it's got to look like, and what we want it to look like. We think this puts us in control, but you don't want to be in control. You want to be out of control. You have to get to the point where you're willing to be totally out of control. Next, I'm not talking about being out of control in the sense of being drunk and disorderly, nor am I talking about speeding at 8,000 mph down the freeway. I'm not talking about getting naked in public or that sort of thing. That's uncontrol. What you want to be is out of control. The problem in your life is that you are not out of control. We tend to spend a lot of our time sitting in judgment, trying to figure out how to control ourselves so we can get along with the world. When we are out of control, we are willing to exist outside of the normal box and the normal points of reference. Being out of control is not being controlled, it's not being uncontrolled, and it's not being drunk and disorderly. It's about not letting the control of other people's point of views, other people's realities, judgments, and decisions to be the controlling factor in our lives. Being out of control is taking away those things where you've been giving away parts of your life to others and have made them more powerful than you. To be out of control is to no longer be the effect, but to be the source. You want to be out of control because you've defined your life. You have the box of your life defined and confined. You have created the coffin you call your life. You think you're alive, but you're living within a coffin. If you would break down those confines, you could start to create from a sense of out of control. And once you're willing to be out of control, you're willing to be out of the coffin you've created your life as. You don't look at past experiences as the source of what you're going to create in the future. You'll start to live in the moment. Instead of trying to come up with answers based on your limited points of view, you empower the universe to give you the answer. Next, give and take versus gifting and receiving. This world is pretty much based on the practice of give and take. It's a point of view that says, I give you this, you give me that. It's an exchange modality we're all stuck in. If I give you oral sex, then you feel obligated to give me oral sex. It's an exchange. I do this, now you must do that. With gifting, on the other hand, there is no separate exchange that occurs. You give without expectation of return, and as a result, you simultaneously receive without limit. The gifting is the receiving, and the receiving is the gifting, all at the same time. With gifting and receiving, you have the elements that allow you to truly have a sense of communion with all things. When you go out in nature, for example, does it gift to you? Does it expect anything in return? Nature gives everything it has at all times, and it simultaneously receives from everything. The fruit trees create the fruit and give to you totally. Do they hold any of it back? When you have a flower bed full of beautiful flowers, they give to you their fragrance and their beauty, and they ask nothing in return. What they receive from you is the energy you give them and the gratitude you have for their beauty. Next, rather than gifting and receiving, most of us lived in a world of give and take. Wait, we say, I'm going to give you this, but I expect something in return. We give a gift with the idea we're going to get something back. How many times, when you're given something, do you know the giver expects you to do, give, contribute, or function in some way for them? Most of the time, that's right. If I give you this, then you must give me that. It's give and take. When you live in the give and take world, you eliminate gifting. This is a terrible mistake because when you give to somebody, I mean truly gift to them, you simultaneously receive abundantly beyond anything you can imagine. If you truly gift without expectation, then you receive abundantly in all respects. But for the most part, on this planet, We give only when we are obligated to do so. What we have at work is the give and take reality of exchange, not abundance. What would it be like in your world if you had the generosity of spirit that allowed you to give without ever expecting anything in return? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Why don't you allow that to come into your life? Maybe it's because you don't expect people to receive what you give them, and they don't. People who cannot receive what you give return your gift to you with a couple of daggers attached. They have to show you how much they didn't like it because they were unable to receive it in the first place. A woman told me about her father. She tried to tell him how much she cared about him, and he answered, "Yes, yes, darling, okay." He couldn't receive it. When you try to give to somebody who can't receive what you're saying or what you're gifting, they will always negate it. Why is that? They don't believe that it's okay to receive. Next, people who give too much. Some people give and give and give, thinking others will be happy with them for giving so much. Is this gifting? No, because it's expecting a return. Does it work? Does the other person get happy with them? No. Usually they say, "Oh, I'll take more of this and that. And what else do you have? I'll take that too." Have you ever done the give too much routine? Do you give your children too much? Are they grateful for what you give them? With my kids, it seems the more I give them, the more they take. Children, as my friend Mary says, will take your last breath and never say thank you. They expect you to give to them all the time. They'll always take from you. They don't see that there needs to be an honoring of the gift. They don't consider what you give them to be a gift. They think whatever you give them is due them. Whenever you're giving to somebody who feels entitled to receive or who thinks they should give and you should give because you've got the money or because you can, it's not very clean. There will be no joy in your giving or in the receipt of it. If you have a friend who doesn't have enough, you might try to give him in order to help him. And then pretty soon you might find you're giving to him all the time and there's no end to it. This is what happens when you're on the give and take program. Is it possible in doing all this giving, you believe you really shouldn't receive? Is it possible that you feel you must always give but never receive? Some people give in order to make others feel less than. We know a woman who was giving hugely expensive gifts to people all the time. One of her friends, who was troubled by this, said to me, "I can't give her anything in return because I can't equal the amount of money she has spent on me." We talked about this for a while, and she realized her friend's giving was a way of pushing other people away, so that even as they were receiving more, they would feel less than. Give and take, and gifting and receiving occur in relationships of every kind. If you're in a relationship where you think you have to give 150%, you usually end up with someone who is willing to take 150%. You do not get someone who gives as much as you do. But when you are truly gifting and receiving in relationship, the person gives to you and receives simultaneously as a result. You give to them and you receive simultaneously. Next, do you live in the ledger and balance sheet world of give and take? Often, when people have been kept from having things, they develop a point of view which says, "This is mine, and I know how much I have, and you'd better not try to take any of my nuts, damn it." They live in the ledger and balance sheet world of give and take. Do you know people have to keep the accounts balanced? They say things like, The bill is $37.50. If we divide it, that's 18.75 each. Okay, you owe me $18.75. This is my food. Don't eat my avocados. The end result of this kind of thinking is that they have no abundance. You cannot live in a ledger and balance sheet world and believe in the abundance of your life. What would happen if you took a completely different point of view? You want it? Take it. When you get rid of the idea, I've got to get my share, you can experience the abundance of the universe. If you're totally abundant, do you care if your roommate eats the avocado you thought was yours? If you are an unlimited being with unlimited resources, with unlimited possibility, how can you ever be taken from? Really, can you ever truly overgift? Next, the universe is endlessly abundant. One of the ways I changed my own point of view about gifting and receiving was to practice giving without expectation. A friend and I went to a restaurant one time, and I ordered a cup of coffee and a donut, and my friend ordered a cup of tea. Our waitress was about 45 years old. First, she brought my friend a spoon. Then she went back and got me a spoon. Then she brought me the cup of coffee. Then she went back and got the tea, then the cream, and then the donut. I asked, "Are you having a tough day?" She got teary eyed and said, "I've never worked before. This is the first job I've ever had. I don't know how to do this. I'm overwhelmed." I said, "Don't worry, I'll get better. You'll get used to it." She said, "Thank you, that's very kind." She brought us the bill and it was $5.12. I leave her $10.12. As we were walking out the door, she came running after us. Sir, you gave me too much money." I said, "No, I didn't. That's a tip. It's to let you know you're doing okay." You could see the beams in her universe. Another time, I was walking in New York on my way to lunch, and there was a young guy sitting on the street with a big open cut on his leg and a tin can in front of him. No one was putting any money into it. On my way back from lunch, without looking at him, I stuck a $20 bill in the can, and he went, thank you, sir, oh my God, bless you, thank you." I could feel the energy radiating out of him because someone had seen, had acknowledged, and gifted to him without any expectation. Not a quarter, not a nickel, not, "Okay, you're a little bum," but enough that he could actually afford a good meal. If you do those sort of things, you break down the idea that there's no abundance in the world. You have to do it. You have to make it happen. When I was moving out of my house after my divorce, I had a bunch of antiques I was going to sell. But instead of doing that, I gave them to my friend, the antique dealer, who had more money than I did. I gave all my antiques to him, and it confused the hell out of him. He couldn't understand why I would give to him because he had more than I did. His point of view was, you have to give someone to someone who has less than you. That's a concept you have to get over. When people who have lots of money go out with people who have less, those with less money usually expect those with more money to pay. When I go out to dinner with people who have lots of money, I always make it a point to pay. They don't know what to do with that. I'm not less than they are anymore. You can play with this too. Pick up the check once in a while, see what happens. The purpose of life is to have fun. And maybe the purpose of money is to bust people's paradigms. What you're really doing, though, is living from the idea that the universe is endlessly abundant. And when you function from that, everything in life gets better. Next, human or humanoid? Which are you? One of the more unexpected things we've discovered in our work with Access is the awareness that there appear to be two species of beings on planet Earth: humans and humanoids. Humans live in judgment of everybody else and think that life is just the way it is, and nothing is ever right. They don't even bother to think about another possibility. Humanoids look for ways to make things better. If you invent things, if you search out things, if you're always looking for a better, bigger way of creating something, you are a humanoid, not a human. Humanoids are the people who create change. They create the inventions, the music, and the poetry. They create all the changes that come out of a lack of satisfaction with the status quo. Well, if you just got a TV, for humanoids, it is a great relief to know that we're always judged and we never fit in. We try so hard, but we can't make ourselves fit into the human mold. Most of us desperately seek to understand and fit into the human reality of money and everything else. People tell us, well, if you just get a TV, a new car, and a regular job, you'd be fine. The idea of bringing up the differences between humans and humanoids is not about sitting in judgment of humans. It's about becoming aware of how we humanoids judge ourselves. One of the most important things to know about humanoids is that they sit in judgment of themselves. Humanoids think there's something wrong with themselves because they're not like everyone else around them. They ask themselves, what's wrong with me that I can't get it right? Why can't I be like this other person? Why can't I be satisfied with less? What's wrong with me? And they go into serious amounts of judgments of themselves. They wonder why they can't get what everyone else gets and do what everybody else does. When somebody lies to a humanoid or does something wrong to them, humanoids twist it around and look for what they've done wrong. They make themselves wrong and the other person right. A humanoid friend of mine had been in a business relationship with a partner for a very long time, and one day he was talking about how his business never seemed to make any money. I said, there's something wrong here. You'd better have a look at the books. I think your partner's cheating on you. He said, oh, he would never cheat on me. I asked him, can you look into this? He decided to have a closer look at the books. And when his business partner found out what he was doing, the partner got really angry and made a lot of accusations against him. My friend's response was to judge himself hideously for being so disloyal as to question his partner. A month later, my friend found out his partner was cheating on him. My humanoid friend's response to the discovery that his partner was cheating on him was to heap huge amounts of judgment on himself, whereas his human partner's response was, this is all your fault. If you weren't such a crappy partner, none of this would have happened. Next, this is all there is. Humans do not have the slightest idea that they're infinite beings with infinite possibilities. They don't believe in reincarnation. They think this is all there is. They see things like you live, you die, and you become worm food. I talked to my stepdad, who was definitely human. After he had a heart attack, I said, Dad, what was it like for you having that heart attack? Nobody had asked him that question. He said, I remember having the heart attack and standing outside my body looking at it. He trailed off and then started over again. Well, I had the heart attack and then I saw them putting the electrodes on my chest. Again, he stopped mid sentence, waited a moment, and then started over again. Well, he finally said, I had the heart attack and then they put the electrodes on my chest and they zapped me. He could not have a reality in which he was out of his body, watching these things occur. It was a great example of what happens to people when they can't have what doesn't fit their judgment of reality. His reality was that you are in a body And that's all there is. A human can never have anything that doesn't match the viewpoint. This is all there is. Humans do not believe in other possibilities. They do not believe in miracles or magic. The doctors and the lawyers and the Indian chiefs create everything. Humans create nothing. 47% of the population is humanoid, and they are the creators of everything that changes in this planet Earth. 52% is human. And the final 1%? Someday we'll tell you about them. Humans hold on to things the way they are and never want anything to change. Have you ever been to somebody's house where they haven't changed the furniture in 30 years? Human. Humans will live in the same neighborhood until it goes downhill, and rather than moving, they will put bars over their windows to keep the jailbirds out of their house. And is looking out of the bars? Excuse me, you've just made yourself into a jailbird. Humans are the contractors who tear out all of the plants and the trees so they can remodel a house. They kill everything in order to create. That's just the way it is, they say. We're going to kill everything and it will be fine. Humans sit in judgment of others because everything in their life is about judgment, decisions, force, and effort. It's the only place they create from. They create from. Think of somebody you know who's human. Feel the consciousness of him or her. Now, feel the consciousness of a rock. Which one is lighter? Your human friend or the rock? The rock? Okay, there's more consciousness in the rock, so we hang out with humans for what reason? We all have human friends and family, but they sit in judgment of us and tell us how wrong we are for everything we do. Humans' judgments of us are compounded by the fact that we, as humanoids, tend to judge ourselves. Acknowledge that you are a humanoid. What happens if you don't claim the totality of your humanoid capacity? If you don't understand and acknowledge that you are humanoid, you try to create from a human point of view. You believe in and create a limited possibility for yourself. A human will say, show me the steps, and will diligently do each step one at a time. But you, as a humanoid, have the ability to zoom from A to Z just like that. You can go bam bam and have everything you desire. But most of us do not claim that possibility for ourselves. We try to settle ourselves into a human existence. Next, please. This is a mistake because humans are content with the status quo and don't want anything to change. And humanoids want to expand and be abundant and creative. If you're interested in expansion and in having a life that is abundant, comfortable, and creative, stop trying to stuff yourself into a human mold. Acknowledge that you're a humanoid and claim your capacity to join the ranks of the rich and famous. Humanoids don't work for money. One of the very interesting differences between humans and humanoids is that humanoids don't work for money. When a humanoid creates something or performs a service and someone else truly receives it, they feel complete. For them, that's the exchange. They say, wow, that's cool, and they're done. Their gift has been accepted, and that's the end of the exchange. Their energy is complete on it. Money has nothing to do with a humanoid's creative capacity or what motivates them. The money is a byproduct. It's a secondary result. It's like shit. Most humanoids would prefer not to deal with money and not to put attention on it because it has nothing to do with their creative capacity. For them, the work or the creation was the fun part. After they create something, they look around and ask, what else can I create? Creation moves the energy for them. All the energy in the humanoid universe goes into creation. If you're a humanoid, we think you are, it's important to be aware of this because unless you're willing to receive the byproduct of your work or service, you're not going to get any money. You're actually going to push it away. You'll stop the money from coming in. You're going to refuse to collect it even though it's due to you. You won't ask for it. When it's time to ask for money, humanoids go, would you like to pay me now or later? It's hard for them to collect money for their work because really all they want is for their gift to be received. Humans, on the other hand, are clear. They work for money. A human contractor or land developer will go into a place and destroy all the trees and everything that lives on the land and build something new made out of concrete because of the money he's going to get for it. He can do it for the money. Humanoids get confused because they can't do things for money. Yet the point of view they grew up with is you only do things for money. And if you don't get paid for it, it's not worth doing. We try to fit into the human reality of money, and this causes us great difficulty. We have to understand that as humanoids, we have a different view, and we also have to be willing to receive the byproduct of our endeavors. We have to be able to ask for and receive money. And that's the end of chapter 5. Tomorrow we're going to read about celebrating your abundance. And again, since we talk about gifting and receiving, for those of you who are here in Manila, I'd like to invite you to our gifting and receiving session in Makati. That's going to be this Saturday. It's our gift for access bars practitioners here in Manila, Philippines. And for those of you, all of you who are here in the 7 Days of Change Facebook group, and for your friends who want to join us, we're going to end this book club by having a community meet inside Zoom where we get to talk about the tools that have been working for us in the last. We're now on day 5 in this week. Okay. And then we get to share and then we'll get to inspire each other with our stories. Okay, so that's it for now. And again, inviting you to 7 Days of Change here in Manila. Everyone can fly to Manila. It's easy to go here now. They say it's more fun in the Philippines, so get to experience that. And we're going to have 7 days of change with Junaline. And this Sunday, I'll have Access Bars class here in Manila. Okay, and for everybody else who's outside Manila, I hope to see you on Zoom this Thursday. Okay, that's it for tonight or morning, wherever you are. And we'll see you tomorrow for chapter 6. Bye for now, everyone. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate